I'm here with Daisy Chute, and this is the Alpha Sessions. I'm Emma, and thanks so much for coming down.
Thank you very much for having me.
How did the music thing start for you?
I don't really remember because it was such a long time ago now. I was pretty young starting out. My first professional music job was when I was 9.
Ooh.
I was in Les Miserables.
Wow. As you do.
As you do. As little Cosette singing Castle on a Cloud. And yeah, it was all downhill since then. I just kind of got a bit of a bug for it, I suppose. And so kept doing different music things, and I did my first album when I was 15, a jazz album.
Wow.
And precocious 15-year-old that I was, and
I'd love to hear it now.
It's still out there, and I kind of want to take it down, but I also feel like I shouldn't, because it's like I shouldn't be embarrassed.
It's a good part of your journey.
Exactly.
So it's important.
Yeah, exactly. So that's still out there. Don't listen to it. But then after that, I did some classical crossover music with my old band, All Angels, and we did 3 albums when I was between the ages of 17 and about 22, 23. But all along I was like writing songs and in the folky genre, and I was just like itching to do more of that, basically. So this is what this new project is. So yeah.
So exciting. Yeah. What about yourself in terms of influences and artists you're into? Is there anyone that majorly stands out?
Well, I feel like everyone says this, and I know everybody does, but for good reason. But Joni Mitchell for me was a big standout, just because I think it was discovering her when I was a teenager, discovering that she was not only into doing her singer-songwriter folk stuff, but she was also into jazz and kind of into other things, and I really loved the fact that she was like a real songwriter and like just amazing use of lyrics and like poetry in her music, and she just and her, I don't know, just the kind of complicated, beautiful stuff that she was writing, and the varied stuff. It was really inspiring to me as somebody who had lots of different interests. Like, it was kind of nice to see somebody else doing that and doing that successfully, because I was always told you have to choose one thing, and I was like, no, I don't want to. I like jazz, and I like classical, and I like folk, and I like all sorts of things, and it felt like I didn't want to pick one. So it's kind of nice seeing somebody else doing lots of different things like that. So yeah, Joni Mitchell is a big influence for sure, is a big influence still. And then people like Paul Simon and other people from the 60s, 70s, singer-songwriters, that's a big influence for me. And nowadays it's like I'm really into bluegrass Americana music as a banjoist, and I love all the kind of vocal harmonies and the intricate songwriting and storytelling through songs. And so I've really fallen in love with particularly this mandolin player and singer and songwriter called Chris Thiele, who does a few different projects. One is Punch Brothers, another is something called Goat Rodeo Sessions, where he collaborates with a classical cellist.
What is it about you and animals?
I know, right? What is this?
Goats,
rabbits.
Dogs,
I know.
pigs.
Gosh, I don't even have a pet. I used to have a dog, but yeah. Though that sounds so sad. I used to have a dog. It is sad, but yeah, I do love animals. Yeah. So yeah, those are my influences: folk, Americana, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And online it says that you're half American, half Scottish from
That's
Edinburgh.
right. Yeah.
Are you? Have you spent some time out there? Are you familiar with the music scenes?
Yeah. Edinburgh, I kind of like. I'm actually going back next week to go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival,
cool.
and I've got a little gig up there as well.
Nice.
But I haven't really been up there that much to do gigs, but I really want to do some touring of Scotland, taste some more whiskey. As you know, I like my whiskey. So I'd love to do some more things up in Scotland, to be honest. I left when I was 16 actually to go to school nearby here.
Oh, cool.
In Watford, Bushy. To go to music school, Purcell School, which was an amazing school. But yeah, I left Edinburgh really, a long time ago now. So I feel like, it's time to do a homecoming tour to Scotland.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And you've got a brand new single.
Yes.
It's called Troubadour Boy.
That's right.
What's that about?
Ooh, what's it about? Okay, so right, so basically it's about a lot of things, but I suppose that the heart of it is like falling in love with a musician who tours around the world and is this troubadour.
Is this a true story?
No.
Okay.
It was kind of based on true things, but it's not like a particularly true story. I did go out with at the time I was with a musician.
Okay.
And he was always abroad doing things, but he was an opera singer, whereas the Troubadour Boy is a guitarist and singer and carries his guitar around the world singing, and basically it's about being in love with somebody who's doing that but never really being able to compete with his love of his guitar. So that's the kind of the crux of it, I suppose. So it's a happy love song, but it's also a little unrequited as well. So yeah, that's what that song's about.
Have you got a video coming out for it as well? Or?
I do, yeah.
Ooh.
I filmed a video in Kent, which is also where I'm recording the rest of the album as well. And so went around like all the lovely coastal bays and things, and did some videoing on the beach in Margate area, and that was really cool. Really loved that. It was quite like hard going actually filming outdoors, because like you just kind of don't think about the things like walking on sand.
Yeah.
I totally did not have the right shoes for it, and then it was actually really cold as well, so it was just like kind of trying to look like it was sort of summery but like also being freezing, so just these practical things, but it was beautiful. It was really fun.
Play on words, play on strings. How I love it when he sings. Oh, the joy his music brings. Troubadour boy, ingrained in wood and steel and bone, lies every song to craft and home, and every pluck and strum and moan. Troubadour boy, I adore my troubadour, troubadour boy, my troubadour boy. He weaves his way around the world, leaves his footprints so I'll know, 'cause I will follow where he'll go. Troubadour boy, I adore my troubadour, troubadour boy, my troubadour boy. He serenades me soft and low, and dares to sing he loves me, though his wooden mistress he loves more.
still. I adore my troubadour boy. I adore my troubadour boy.
The Alpha Sessions.
You're also an award winner for the Coffee Music Project.
Yeah, so that's really exciting.
So what is the Coffee Music Project, first of all?
Okay, so basically the Coffee Music Project, it has been going for a few years, and it's a singer-songwriter competition. It's based in London, but there's also one in New York and one in LA, and one coming in Cape Town. And basically, I heard about it actually through a few people who I knew who'd entered it and done stuff with it. So I knew Harry Payne, who was one of the people who did it in the past, and he's great. And he kind of was one of the reasons why I entered it, because I had a gig the night before the deadline with him, and so I kind of just went for it the next day and entered it. And basically, it's a singer-songwriter competition, so you're judged on your singing, but also your songwriting, and your general musicianship, and etc. And so you go through all these different rounds and the judges, and it was all quite nerve-wracking, and kind of I was thinking along the way, why have I done this to myself? This is so hard, just hard for just for your own psychology, because you're nervous about being judged all the time. But it turned out well. So I got to the final round, and the judges went for me and my song I'd written for the competition. So that was really exciting.
Oh, so you wrote a song especially for the competition?
Yes. So,
nice.
Exactly. So we had to write songs about London. So that was one of the songs that I recorded today at the studio here. So this is a song that is called London's on Fire, and it's basically about the duality of London being both really creative and also quite destructive too. So the idea of London's on fire has two different meanings, right? On fire, it's on fire, it's amazing, but also on fire, destructive fire, right? Yeah. So it's kind of about how it can both bring you up and also bring you down. So. And
what's it like writing under pressure like that? Do they just put you in a room and go, right, you've got an hour, write a song now, go for it?
That would be quite a good way of doing it, actually. They gave us about 3 or 4 weeks to write the song.
Okay, cool.
So it was fine, but
it's not like classroom style timed essay. No. Okay, good.
But I still typically I always do. I left it quite last minute, and so I was still writing it on the day, and trying to figure out, okay, now I've written it, how do I actually remember this to perform it tonight? So it was quite nerve-wracking. But I work okay under pressure, because I'm usually quite last minute about things.
Diamonds are made under pressure is now what they say, so it's fine.
Yeah,
it's all good.
It's good.
Now, if we look onto your website, the first thing that I saw when I had Daisy this morning was that you've just played a ridiculous amount of gigs. Ridiculous in so many venues. I was like, wow, she's been there, and she's also been there. You must have a favourite venue around London.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think actually probably the place that you saw me at is my favourite place to play, the Hospital Club.
Nice.
Because it's got just first of all, it's central, which is useful for it's always free. It's the most amazing sound.
Yeah,
Luke Aziz on sound there is just incredible sound engineer. And also Vin Goodwin is the host of a lot of nights there, which I've done, and he's just the loveliest. And it's always such a pleasure. It's always such a nice crowd of people and other musicians on stage. So I think, Hospital Club for me. Yeah.
Cool. And obviously you've also had your heavy involvement with All Angels.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you still very much part of that? Is that a thing of the past now? What's the situation?
So yeah, we didn't officially disband, but we haven't done anything for 4 or 5 years or something. Okay. So yeah, we're not planning any more recording or anything like that. But we are planning a special anniversary concert. So there will be more on that if you're interested in hearing what we're like. So we're a 4-part vocal harmony group, and we especially loved a cappella singing and but mostly classical crossover, so like classical pieces, choral stuff, but also some kind of edgier ones as well. And I had such a good time doing the group, having, and we had such nice camaraderie. I think this is probably why I'm drawn to like working with other women as well, because I just have such good memories of that time, and just like the idea of being a collective, it just, a band or a collective, I really love that. So hence why Herd Collective, that kind of is part of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
We normally, before the show, we put on who's coming up, and we ask people online if they want to ask a question. And Alan O'Kelly asked a great question, which was, now that you guys both do solo projects and are working collaboratively as well, how are you going to divide your time between solo projects and obviously Herd?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and one that we're still trying to figure out the answer to be honest. So I think, it's still quite early days for the Herd Collective, so we're still kind of figuring out what that means in terms of time and how we're like dividing up and sort of not only time but also how we promote what we choose to promote and what we choose to make a Herd thing and what we choose to make a solo thing, because obviously we each get opportunities all the time coming in about gigs or whatever, festivals. But I think that what we're going to try and do is do this quarterly thing where we do our own night every 3 months in London, and make that the kind of central focus of the first part of Herd. And then through that, meeting people, we'll start to get a bit more of an idea of who is interested in working with us and who wants to join the collective. And then we'll look at doing this compilation CD that we were talking about, where we each get different people to write specifically for the Herd Collective CD. And so so in terms of dividing up our time, I think the thing about Herd is that it's also benefiting our solo projects as well. So they kind of working on one also helps the other, so it's a kind of, they work in tandem. And I think so I think that it's kind of, I don't know if that answers the question.
It totally does.
Did that answer the question?
Yep.
So we'll both be doing our own solo projects, but also developing Herd pretty much in sync, and we're hoping that it will help the other thing.
So what's next for Daisy as a solo artist?
I've got my next single out, which will be coming out in September, called London's on Fire. That's the one I wrote for the competition. Yeah. And so I'm doing a music video. In fact, I just filmed some of the music video yesterday. Cool. With some drone cameras, which was really fun, and the rooftop in London, and also some Steadicam, and we filmed a bit in Primrose Hill, and that'll be really fun to have that come out. And so that's my next thing, and then a tour around America in October.
Oh, America before Edinburgh.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I need to plan Scotland. That will be next year, I think.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I've got America tour in October as part of the Coffee Music Project. So we go out there and perform in New York for the Coffee Festival. And so Cerian will join me and another member of the band, Greg, and we'll do a little tour around New York and then going down to Nashville.
Vein of London far below that freezes with the snow and never knows the fire's glow, is threading through the city docks and winding with the clocks and mourning with the tower blocks. Faded glass, the sunlight shone upon buildings with more buildings built upon a city always moving on. London's on fire. London's on fire. saving for our holiday. We justify our pay and look the other way. Our back against the flame. Who will pay the price? Could I sacrifice my right to live in a paradise? Faded glass, the sunlight shone upon. Bodies with more bodies buried on. The city always moving on. London's on fire. London's on fire. We go round this town and burn it down and build it back up higher and higher. London's on fire. We go round this town and burn it down and build it back up higher and higher. London's on fire. London's on fire. London's on fire. London's on fire. Higher and higher. London, 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 London's on fire.
The Alpha Sessions.
So Daisy's now joined in the studio by Cerian. How did you guys meet?
Well, so we met on a session at Rack Studios in London, recording backing vocals for Radiohead.
As you do.
For the latest album, A Moon-Shaped Pool.
Yeah,
Was it everything you thought it would be?
and more.
It was actually, I didn't take it in at the time, the gravitas, because it was just like, I was just so like, okay, this is a job, I've got to do it right, especially because it's Radiohead.
Yeah.
But I mean, always do it right anyway, but it's just Radiohead, you've got to do it right.
Yeah.
I didn't really, I mean, they were quite cool. It was quite an experimental kind of vibe with a lot of what we were doing. So I didn't really know how much of it would end up on the album. So I kind of was like, didn't think too much more about it. And then when the album came out, I don't know about you, but the album came out and I could hear us.
Yeah, I
like
know.
really clearly on 6 tracks.
Yeah.
And that's when I got giddy.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, we're
Yeah,
actually on the
I know.
album.
Permanent in record.
It's
That's amazing.
mental and quite a claim to fame, I'd say.
It's pretty cool.
And a pretty cool origin story, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good how you met story.
Yeah.
So how did Herd come about?
So Herd came about, it's basically, just to give a little background about it, it's not a band, it's not a, I don't know what else it is, but it's not a band, it's a collective, and the idea is that we the two of us sort of run it, and we invite singer-songwriters to come and join us for different concerts. For the most part, it exists as a live concept, so we do gigs together, whether it's in London or touring, and we support one another both musically and emotionally.
and just with, you know, the difficulties or general admin of being a singer-songwriter and an independent artist, like working together and helping each other. And Daisy also set up a monthly meeting for artists and creatives where we just share advice and
That's
tips
really
and
cool.
have a kind of support network, which is really great because it can be really lonely. It can be when you're a solo artist, as we both are. It can be very lonely, not just performing, but also making all those decisions and doing all the work required, because there's so much business side work and admin and all those things. So just having other people to bounce ideas off and then to tour with as well and to perform with is really lovely.
Yeah.
So how long has this been going now for?
A few months, really. It's really
So it's pretty new.
quite
Yeah.
new.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And the other aspect to it is that it's for women in music, because we really want to promote women in music, because you said it, initially you were like, I'm really fed up of being the only female voice in the studio or in the workspace.
I mean, I sort of realised how many times I'd been the only woman in the studio, and how I'd most of the writing I'd ever done with other people were with men, and I was like, why is that the case? Like, and I then we started looking into the statistics.
And I've always been a big feminist as well, and often be the only female on a lineup as well. It's in all areas of the music industry,
and in the studio, but also live. And like looking at the statistics, we found PRS, I think it was only 14% of songwriters, composers were female last year, and then we saw that about the same percentage throughout, like through festival lineups in America, through people who were like responsible for the most successful, like in the top 40 hits.
Top 40 hits has it's even lower percentage of female writers. I'm going to get it wrong, but it's something like 6%. It's really appalling. And even if it's like, but there are some big female pop artists, which is awesome, but often they're singing songs written by men, and so that female voice and that female perspective still isn't being heard. And you can really tell as well, like when you go into the lyrics, and sometimes you don't. You hear a pop song and you just like
sing it away.
Yeah, you just kind of bop along to it. But when you listen to the lyrics, you can tell when it has been written by a man.
Yeah, totally.
I can't get over that in this time.
Yeah,
totally.
And also, it's not reflective of our experience. Like, I know so many amazing female musicians, songwriters, composers in lots of areas, and that isn't reaching the main stage. It's not reaching the higher levels. Is really sad and disappointing. And so we want to just try and do something to promote it, celebrate it, change it.
And of course, it's our own little small thing we can do, but there are bigger initiatives. Like there's this amazing initiative that PRS Foundation are doing called Key Change, and their goal is to make 50-50 lineups in festivals by 2022 or something, and like something.
Which is great,
amazing,
because there was that thing online a couple of years ago which went kind of viral, where they, for the Reading and Leeds lineup, they took away all the male acts, so there were only female acts, and there was only like 3 names on the poster, and that's just, there's no need for that. There are loads of brilliant female or female-centered artists, so this initiative of PRS is really great.
And we should say female and also non-binary, so we don't, because we're obviously focusing on female because that's what how we identify. Yeah, but it's also the same,
female identifying,
even more so.
Going back to you guys. Do you find, I know that you've only been working together for not very long, for a few months, but have you taken up your own roles within the collective? So do you find that when you rehearse and stuff, you formulate a particular style, or you work together in a particular way, because you're Cerian and because you're Daisy?
Interesting, good question.
Because we've only set up Heard in the last few months, but we've been working together for much longer. Like we kind of formalised it in the last few months.
Completely.
But we'd been working together for year and a half, maybe.
I mean, naturally, it must already happen without realising, because obviously you play different instruments. But in terms of you guys working together, do you take on particular roles every time, or do you swap it about? How does that work?
I would say it's pretty equal.
I think it's pretty
sense.
equal.
Like we were both sharing our different contacts and our different opportunities that come along. And kind of we have this like Google Doc that we share, that we like put all our ideas in and stuff. And but yeah, I think it's pretty equal. I mean, obviously you play harp and I play guitar, banjo, and we both sing, and we both have lots of harmony experience. So we kind of both kind of just naturally. We actually sang for somebody else recently, for a beautiful singer-songwriter called Hannah White, and we just like immediately just went to the harmonies, like that we didn't even need to really think about it too much. It
was pretty great.
And then naturally.
And then occasionally, if we did go, should we do? And like, because we both trained classically, we're like, I'll do the 5th, you do the 3rd, and we could just have this whole shorthand of like, we know what,
and then just go in. And in fact, we improvised some harmonies on the stage.
And it worked.
And it was
good.
Very cool.
So I think it is pretty even. I would say we've also got similar strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, that's true. We're both more likely to be night owls.
We spoke about this before.
Yeah. And we're also.
Well,
let's not talk about
let's
our weaknesses.
Not talk about our weaknesses. We're both very creative and perfectionist as well.
Yeah. True.
Which I think can be a weakness, but also can be a strength. So it's about trying to balance that.
We both encouraged each other to like just finally release these songs that we've been sitting on for a while.
Because we both they've been a long time coming for both of us. Yeah. And so we both have just been like, let's just release them. Yeah. Let's just do it. We're going to set a date and we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And you've done it.
Yeah. I can't actually believe my song is out. Like, It is really exciting.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Would you guys ever consider writing together?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
That's on the list.
As on the list,
Many
there's
lists,
so many
bigger
things
list.
that always come up that like seem more pressing at the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we've got to sort this set out for this gig or this tour and this. But we really want to write together, and we are gonna.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're going to be looking for an EP.
Yeah. For the long term, it would be great. I think it'd be great to have a Heard like compilation or something.
Nice, yeah.
You know.
So, and invite our friends who we really like to come and join on it. So as you say, this is kind of a bigger collective as well.
Yeah.
So we're kind of running it, but we like to invite other people to join us. So that's the future. I think we want to try and make it quite a big collective, so we can potentially do gigs with different people at different times.
So we want to run a night, like a quarterly, start by quarterly night, where it's kind of like a songwriter's circle, and then the idea is we're sharing each other's music, but can also sing on it and play on it, and just kind of maybe jam together a bit.
Exactly.
So good. You guys have been gigging loads together. And this is always a funny question that I like to ask people, because I just think you get ridiculous answers. If you were in this dream scenario, I know we touched on it briefly with collaborations, but you could have any sort of rider that you wanted before you got on stage. Go crazy, what would it be?
Okay, well, I know that you have a particular liking of gluten-free beer.
Okay.
So it would have to be gluten-free beer for you, I think.
And also champagne.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
champagne.
usually say Prosecco, but, you know, if it's anything, I'll go champagne.
Like gluten-free beer is harder to come by than champagne.
Depends on the quality of the champaign.
Yeah, true.
Gluten-free beer and champagne is totally fine.
Yeah.
What about you?
Pretty good. I would say champagne, yeah. I would say, let's see, what would I say? I'd have to go for whiskey. That would be my choice.
Like
I don't know why we went straight for the drinks. We could have gone for anything.
We do love a drink. Yeah, what kind of thing did you mean? Like
anything. I mean, we've had things like horses, massages, chocolate.
Oh my god!
I would totally
I'd have a massage. I'd have a massage for sure. I don't know. Although massage would make me really spaced out before.
I'm not sure if I could have a massage before. Massage after.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
But Daisy gives me good massages, so I'll just get Daisy.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we need to go for something crazier. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm so small time. Like I was like, I really like Itsu, so I'll just get some vegetarian Itsu sushi. That'd be nice.
We're pretty happy with what we can get hands on as it is. No horses for me, thank you.
No.
Maybe some puppies. Puppies, that would be nice.
Oh, a little rabbit.
You'd like a little kitten, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love rabbits. Imagine coming off stage, just a room of puppies, kittens, and rabbits. Oh no, the dogs would kill the rabbits. Oh.
I was thinking that.
Okay, so in pens.
Yeah. But nice spacious ones, you know. Yeah.
Pens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not pens. They're like,
No, I know, like animal pens.
Imagine if your rider was just some good pens. Although I often lose pens, so that actually would be quite handy.
I think we need to stop that.
Yeah. We're simple people. We don't need much. Yeah, I do have a gig to get to.
So we're going to hold you to that EP, by the way.
Okay.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Okay. As long as you provide us with some pigs. Not pigs. Why did I say pigs? I meant pens of puppies.
Baby pigs are really cute. Micro pigs.
Okay. We don't ask for much.
And if you want to find out more about Heard, how can we do that?
Well, at the moment, all we have is a mailing list, but we will be growing our social media stuff. So, but if you follow either of us, then you can see what we're up to.
Yeah, we're always updating our own social media with what we're doing with Heard, and then we will get a website and the social media pages.
Sweet. Nice.
But we should say it's spelled HEARD.
Yes, like Heard.
We've been
listening.
heard.
Yeah.
As opposed to Herd of Animals.
Yes.
And we like the fact that it has her in it. You see.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
That was the thinking. behind
Mix
it.
between her and listen.
Yes. And like we want to listen to her.
That's it.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks
for having us. Sorry for this sort of silly, giggly stuff.
No, it's totally what we want. I wouldn't have asked that question if we didn't want silly, giggly stuff.
Pigs.
Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper.
Well, they're standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployed lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper. Poor people gonna rise up and take their share. Poor people gonna rise up and get what's theirs. Don't you know you better run, 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 run. Don't you know you better run, 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 run. 'Cause finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution, oh, no. 'Cause finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution, oh, no. Talking about a revolution, oh, no. Well, they're standing in the welfare lines,
Crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation,
wasting time
in the unemployed lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds
talking about a revolution, oh, no.
Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds
Talking about a
like a whisper.
revolution, oh, no.
Don't you know,
Finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution, oh, no.
don't you know,
Finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution, oh, no.
don't you know,
'Cause finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a